staying for one. Huh? No, I didn't do them all. I did 4 of them. What are you laughing at? I don't do all this, Lisa. I couldn't possibly. He didn't get the lunch part.
Especially the members with it.
No, I mean, first of all, they're all like each word there's a whole drush on each word.
Oh yeah.
Years ago, there used to be somebody I know was a professor at Hebrew University, and they, as part of the rabbinics department,
Right.
okay, he would teach. Normally, he would teach a course in the history and development of tefillah. Okay,
It's a good thing to do.
okay, so it was. He was a very significant individual, and occasionally he would throw in something about piyutim. But at another institution that grants non-Orthodox,
which will remain nameless.
That institution, there was a professor of Hebrew literature that actually gave an entire course on piyutim, and he would make the difference between what's the difference between a slicha and a kina and things like that. Okay, and to what degree?
And then the technicalities, the meter or
the different styles.
Right, different styles.
I mean, it is a body of material to study.
All right, what happened all of a sudden?
What are you sorry
About everything.
Oh, you've been reading them in English. That's what gets you in trouble, Bob.
Oh, goodness, I got something.
And we've been doing it since for about 700 years. If you had, it feels that if they had ripped the 11th and 12th centuries out of the calendar, then we would have been able to get out of there in 10 minutes.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to give you a quick preview, not now, but I'm going to tell you that on one of the days of one of the sermons for Yom Kippur, I'm going to discuss the Eila Ezkara.
Oh, really?
And how the fact that the comparison between the fact that we have a kina on Tisha B'Av
of an
Ezkara and the Eila Ezkara in Musaf of Yom Kippur.
And you should also discuss that they didn't have, that it never happened.
Okay.
I mean, I will
make the point that it's not historically accurate, but that's not the
point.
That's not the point. Okay, and I will make the connection in that why it is that in my Rosh Hashanah sermon that Albo made the point in his Fundamentals of Judaism that why is it that we include the Akedah in our davening that much more than references to the martyrology of Rabbi Akiva and his students?
Oh, he actually has. I once was talking with Reuven Feinstein, and he said that on Rosh Hashanah, the Akedah is about Ava, but the daily recitation is about Yitzhak, and that when we go out to work or when we go about our daily lives and temptations arrive, we're supposed to be given chizuk by the fact that Yitzhak is willing to.
Interesting.
That's what Reuven said. So I read the Akeda in that light.
That's interesting. Okay, let's go through our learning sponsors and then we'll try to get through a little Gemara today too. Okay.
Are you picking up a Yamar?
I have to look. Year of Learning, Friends of Nina Monester, Nechama Asna Bad Yitzchak Aaron, many friends of Stephen Vigdil, Ezecha Nishmat, Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi, friends of Marcy Kurtz, memory of a great niece, Leah Bracha, Refuah Shlema to Marcy, Isaac and Evelyn Blacher, memory of his sister Chaya Rachel Bas Isser, and a Refuah Shlema both for Isaac and for Evelyn. The friends of Leonie Meiselman, Leah Saber Bas Chana Dundal. Month of Learning by Dov Bodlander in memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Yaakov Yitzchak, by his mother-in-law, Bela Dvasha Bas Rav Doberish, his father-in-law, Yehuda Tzvi Ben David Nachum, and his mother-in-law, Alta Chaya Bas Avram Yosef, Mel and Haran Haller, in memory of his father, Avram Ben Ze'ev. A week of learning by Michael and Sharon Glass, in memory of his mother, Rivka Yita Bad Yitzchak Kohen. Today we have a day of learning by myself and my wife, in memory of her father, Shalom Tzvi Ben Aaron, by Jerry and Rachel Ebner, in memory of his father, Yitzchak Isaac Ben Abraham. Okay, and we keep the name.
Someone should have an aliyah.
Okay. And as we've been doing, we keep in mind Moshe Ruvmed Sima Tabela, Miriam Mifka Basbracha, David Aaron Halevi Ben Siraf, as well as Peretz Semach Ben Yaakov Yitzchak for Refuah Shlema. Shamas Evelania, Frank Rafia, Valley Yeshua Shematzmiya, and L'chol B'nai Israel, a good Gedenched Yah.
Amen.
Right, so. Okay, so we will, I want to start, okay.
We're going to say you left off by Yamar.
Right. So to speak.
That's the beginning of an Indian.
Okay, let's start 4 lines from the bottom, okay, on Pei Dalet Amud Beis, okay, probably B4, okay, Yimer Bar Chashu, right? So we're going to, today, as we go through the Gemara, I just want a quick point and then we're going to see quite a number of similar stories, okay? They're all right, in terms of various situations with regards to, all right, Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Yimer ben Bar Chashu is the name of a person. Hava Masik by Zuze me Bahahu Gavra. He owed money to a certain,
He was,
okay, money to a certain person, okay? Masik Bey Zuze Bahahu.
The other
Right?
person.
He had borrowed money from him, and so all money was
money to him. That's why he went and collected the boat, because he was owed the money. All right, go ahead.
Okay. He was owed money, right? He was owed money by a certain person.
Correct.
Okay. Shachiv, he died. Okay.
The borrower died.
Right. Vishavik Arba, and what was left was a boat. Amar Le Lishaluche, he said to his messenger, representative, Zil Tafsen Nihale, go and seize the boat and bring it to me. Okay, Azal, okay, the person went, Tafsa, he seized it. Okay, now what happened? Pagu ve Rav Papa, Rav Huna, bered the Rav Yoshua. Okay, he was met by Rav Papa and Rav Huna Berebi de Yoshua. Amrule, and they said to him, you are seizing for a single creditor, okay, at a time when there are others, okay, also, right? Va'amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, atofes lebal chov b'makom shechav la'achirim, okay, one who seizes the property for a single creditor in a place where there are multiple creditors, right? In that case.
Low comment.
Okay, yeah, no, I know. I just wanted to see another point there. Okay, what happens? Okay, low kana on the top of pay, hey. Okay, he does not acquire it. Okay, right. And you can welcome to look at Rashi there for a moment. Okay, the lav kol k'minei lechov zeh kedei l'schot et zeh. Right, tafsuha inhu. So the two of them grab the boat. Rav Papa memelach meluche. Rav Papa was rowing it like a sailor, so to speak. Rav Huna bereid the Rav Yoshua mamtach la ba'ashla, and he was pulling the boat by a rope. Mar amar anakanina. One master said, "I acquired it, lakula, the whole thing." Umar amar anakanina la lakula, and the other said, "I acquired the whole thing." Okay, what happens? Pagabaho Rav Pinchas bar Ami. So he happened to meet the two of them. Amar laho, and said to them, Rav Shmuel da Amre Travaihu, that Rav and Shmuel, that both of them said, Vahu shetziburin umunachin b'reshus harabim, that the only time that it's permissible to actually seize the property is when it is piled up. In other words, it is really available, and it is in public domain. Public domain. Okay. Amar laho, and he said to them, okay, right? And then Anan nami mecharifuta denahara tafisna. Okay, and they said, what did they do? They collected it really from the swift current in the middle of the river, which was in a public area. So that was there. So they fulfilled, at least they felt they fulfilled.
That's so cool. I mean, the other guy had no right to take it, but not only did they take it, but they fought over who gets the whole thing.
Right? Atu lakami de Rabba. Okay, so they came before Rabba and Marlaho, and he said to them, all right, what did he tell them? Okay, kake chivare mishalche glime de inshe. Okay, this is not a compliment. Okay, that you guys are like white geese. In other words, almost like pelicans was one explanation. All right, that you remove garments from a person. In other words, you're squawking, you're yelling, you're pulling this, that. All right,
And
you're
now
making
you're taking somebody's property away.
Okay, Hachi Amar Rav Nachman. And this is what Rav Nachman says. Vehu shetefsa mechayim. And he held that you could only seize property when the person was alive. Okay? Avimi bereid the Rabbi Abahu. Okay, so now we have another episode. Avimi, the son of Rabbi Abahu, Havu maske be zuze be chozai. He was owed money. Money was owed to him. Maybe that's a better translation. Okay, from somebody in Bechuzai. Okay, Shadarinhu biyad chama bareid. So he owed the money. All right, and he sent Shadarinhu biyad chama bareid Rabba bar Abuha, and he sent by means of the son of another sage, chama bareid Rabbi Abahu, Azal. Parinu. Okay, all right, he went and he told him to pay the debt. All right, Amar Laho, he said to him, so the young man, at least he knows what the halacha is, he said to the person, Havu li shtara, give me the document.
So he first paid.
Okay, but what's going to happen is that maybe we're going to be important, is going to say, he paid, from here we see, he told him to pay. So what did he do? He must have paid the money and then requested the document.
Right.
But the Gemara is going to clarify for us what is the appropriate order in this that should be carried out.
What is the appropriate way to ask?
Okay, Amrule. So he said to him, what? Sitrai minu. These were parallel or side loans. Okay, and the document that you're asking for had nothing to do with this particular debt, is what they tell the young man. Okay, right. Atalakami de Rabbi Abua. He came and went before Rabbi Abua. Okay, this whole case. Amarle, and they said to him, Id lach sahade de par itinu. Okay, are there witnesses to tell that you paid the debt? Okay, Amarle, no. He said no. Amarle, he
These
said
are
to,
the
okay,
claimants.
okay.
You have witnesses to the side debt. And they
Okay.
said no.
I understood it, no, that he was questioning the young man. Okay,
The one young man would not know. He's just a shliach.
right.
He would know that. So that doesn't.
So that's
he-
why he wouldn't have witnesses.
No.
No.
There was no star on the side debt. So
Right,
the
that's-
Av Bezdin says to the claimants, do you have witnesses to the side debt? And they say no.
Okay, I
That was
understood
just
it
a private
differently.
debt.
I'd understood it differently, but that could be the case as well. Okay, Amarle lo, no witnesses. Amarle said them, Migo di cholin lomar lo hayu dvarim me'olam. Since it's possible for them to say that nothing ever happened, Yicholin nami lememar sitrayin inhu. It's also easily possible for them to say that this were a side obligations, side debt. That's why I understood it, that he was talking to the young man and not
But
to
the
the
young man
claimants.
would in no way have
The
had
young
that
man could not
information.
have said that anyway because he wouldn't have
I
known.
think go back. That's
Okay, le'inyan shlume shaliach. Okay, and to the
now
in.
the question is,
So now the point, as regards to the status, the
Obligations of the
obligation, the
Jew.
well-being of the representative, Mai, what is it? Amar Rav Ashi, he says as follows, Chazinan, you see, is it such? Amar le shakol shtara vahav zuze. If he had said, give me the document, and okay, and I'll give you the money. Mishaleh, right? Pay it,
Take the document
right?
and give
If
the
the
money.
if the
It-
sender of the shliach said,
Right.
Take the document and then pay.
Right. If he had told him, receive the document first,
Right.
then pay the money,
Right.
Mishaleh, all right, he would pay. Hav zuze ushkol shtara. If he had said to him, give the money and then take the document, lo mishaleh, you don't pay, right? Velohi, but that's not the case,
The-
right?
We're
That's
talking
not
about,
how it
does
happened.
The shliach have a fiscal obligation to the
To the person
original
who sent
he
him.
Right.
We get that, right? Bein kach uvein kach mishalem. In either case, okay, one needs to pay.
The shliach,
The shliach.
needs to
Right?
pay.
Damar, right? What? Why? The amarle, the tikune, right? The tikune shadartich velo le'avate. Why? Because here I sent you to do something on my behalf, but the end
Now,
result
what
was
hurting?
it was impairing, it would hurt me, it was not to my benefit. Okay, now we get to a series, like I said, a series of other stories. Hahi itita, there was a certain woman, Dahavu mifkade gaba miloga deshtare. Okay, and she had deposited,
Had
uh,
with her.
okay,
It was
a
deposited
pouch,
in her
Deposited in
okay,
hand.
a
her.
pouch had been deposited in her, on her, to her,
To her.
okay, right? The stare of
Full of
documents, a pouch that had
IOUs.
documents in it, okay? All right, I don't know if it was IOUs.
Well,
yet.
they're
Okay,
valuable.
we'll see. Atu Yorshim, okay, came the heirs, Katave Lemina, okay, and they made a claim, okay,
They asked the woman for the briefcase.
for the pouch, right? Amra laho. So she said to them, Michayim tfisna laho. Okay, so she asked, was this right? Right, Michayim tfisna laho.
During your father's
Okay,
life.
was this taken? Okay, during
She
the
said, "I took
lifetime
it
of your
while
father.
Your father was alive.
She's saying your father.
I seized it during the
Correct.
lifetime of your
Of your
father.
She said, I took the briefcase
Right.
and claimed it.
Okay,
Because of
Atai,
the
right?
documents in it to pay a debt to me while your father was still alive.
Okay, that's interesting because, all right, I'll accept that, but Koren didn't go into that approach. Okay? Atai lekame de Rabbi Nachman. Okay, they came then before Rabbi
The
Nachman.
children went.
Okay,
wanted
Amar la. Okay, and he said to her, Id lach sahade de tev'uha minach mechayim. Do you have witnesses that, okay, that you claim that you seized it from him while he was alive?
no.
Okay, v'lo yahiv nahale. Okay, and the case was that you didn't give it. All right, it wasn't and then given to you. Amar le, she said to him, lo, no. In Cain, have tfisa de la'achar mita, because otherwise now we're going to consider it as a seizure after death. Utfisa de la'achar mita lo klum hi, and any kind of seizure after the death of the person who owed is not considered valid. Okay, another example. Hahi itita de ichaiva shvu'a beidina de Rabba. There was a certain woman who was obligated to give an oath at the court of Rabba. Amrale bat Rav Chisda, and Rav Chisda's the daughter of Rav Chisda. Okay,
It was Robbert's wife.
Okay, who happened to be familiar with Rava.
That
Okay,
was his wife.
of course she's familiar with him as his wife.
No, man, she's in the kitchen and she hears this going
Okay.
on in the dining room.
Well, I don't know about that, but I would say she's familiar with this particular woman.
Right.
Okay, that's the point. All right. Yadana ba the chashuda ashvua. I know that this woman is suspect regarding making oaths. Okay. In other words, she's not trustworthy. That's the point of what the daughter of Rav Chisda, his wife, is telling him. Okay. Afcha Rava l'shvua akashenegda. So Rava switched it so that there was the other person,
The litigant.
okay, that was going to have to be the one making the oath and not the woman.
This was not Lashon Hara because it was Letoelis?
Let's see, we're going to see. The Gemara is going to come back. Gemara is going to come back and be concerned about this scenario. Okay? All right? So what happens? All right? So the Gemara is going to have us, okay. Zimnin havu yadve kame. Okay, there were times when others were sitting before Rava. All right? Rav Papa was there, Rav Adabar Matnana was there. All right? Now, Aitu Hahushtara Gabe. And they brought a certain document to him. Amarle Rav Papa. And Rav Papa says to him, Yadana Be Dishtara Pariyahu. I'm familiar with this document, that it is the document that indicates a debt was paid. Okay? Amarle, he said to him, Ika inish achrina behed yadama. Okay? So he says to him, is there another person along with the master that is aware of that? In other words, right now it's just the one person indicating, and Rav is asking, if there's a second person, do we have two witnesses in this situation? Amarle lo. He said to them, no. Amarle, he said to him. Now notice what happens here. Afal gav de ikamar. Even though we have the master here, in other words, a colleague that ordinarily I should believe in him, what happens? A'ed echad lav klum hu. But a single witness in regards to acknowledging the status of this document, okay? Lav klum hu.
No, the who is next.
Okay? No, not in my text. Okay? Amar le, he said to them, Rav Ada bar Matana, says as follows, Velo yehe Rav Papa kivat Rav Chisda. Okay? In other words, since we have the earlier story where the wife was the one who said, don't trust the situation. Not only was she one person, but she was also a woman whose testimony is not necessarily acceptable. And here we have a colleague of his, okay, telling him, okay, so, what's the situation? That's why I said, Bob, okay, Bob, that's why I said it. The Gemara comes back and basically sort of is applying your question, but in a different vein. Okay? But Rav Chisda, okay, regarding the daughter of Rav Chisda, who we said was Rav's wife, Kimle Begava. I know their uncertainty.
For a fact, she never
Okay?
misrepresented.
In other words, I know her well enough that she's always truthful. That's what he's saying. Okay? Ma lo kimle begava. The master, however, I don't know with certainty that he's always truthful. Because I don't know him well enough, okay, to rely on his word in this kind of alone. That's the point. Amar Rav Papa, hashta de Amar Mar kimle begava. Now that he said that the master, namely Rava, had said it's a question of knowing uncertainty with certainty. Miltehi, that is a decisive factor here. Kigon Abba Mar Beri, as in the case of Abba Mar Bari, the Kimle Begava, who would know him with certainty. Kar Anashtara Apume, where in that case they actually tore up the garment, tore up the document based on his per individual statement.
Right, because he knew them.
Right. Okay. So the Gemara asks, Kar'ana Sakadatha? Do you really think they would tear up a garment, a document, okay, on the statement of a single individual? Ele mar'ana shtara apume. Rather, it weakened the veracity of the document based on his testimony.
And therefore they made him swear.
All right, so that could be. Another case. Hahi itata dechayva shvua. We have another example of a woman who was obligated to bring an oath. Beidina de Rav Bibi bar Abaye, in the court of Rav Bibi bar Abaye. Amar laho hahu. Okay, Baal din. So the one of the other person, the other litigant. Okay, Titi v'tish ba'ai b'mata. Let her go out and testify in public in the town hall, in the town center. Okay, all right. Efshar de mechuspa umodia. Okay, it's possible that she would become embarrassed, okay, to lie, and therefore acknowledge the true situation.
This Bezdin was in a faraway community. So the other litigant says, if she goes home to our local Bezdin, she'll be afraid to lie there because they're all her neighbors and her friends. So
you got that from Rashi?
Yeah, because now read on. So she asks this Bezdin to give her a document that she had been willing to swear here in Pittsburgh when they get back to Brooklyn. That's the case.
All right, perhaps. Amralahu, she said to them, Kadvu li zichuta, right, write me a document, kind of like a letter of acquittal, all right, that indicates that my willingness to testify.
That I had been willing to swear in your best.
Okay, Dechi mishtaba'ana yahavali. And that when I testify, you take an oath, okay, Yahivale, okay,
and
give it to
then
me.
You'll have your guys stamp it.
Right?
Sign
Amar laho Rabibi bar Abaye Kidvula, and he said, therefore, to write it for her. Okay? Amar Rav Papi, this is Rav Papi here. Mishum da atitu memulai, okay? Because this thing was shortened, abbreviated. Amritu mili mulita. Okay, we're saying something that is worthwhile.
Making a shortcut in the procedure.
Right? Something worthwhile. Ha'amar Rava, says Rava. Hai isharta didanai. Okay, this ratification or document, okay, of the judges. The michtava mekame de nachvu sahade. Achatimot yadaihu. Okay, now we're saying that this document that was written, okay, in
before,
okay, In other words, in this situation,
With this, and now we're giving another example.
okay, the nachu sahade. Okay,
The other example.
right, but that's how you're saying it.
Yeah.
Corin didn't give
don't
it
know
that
what
way.
Corin- you just-
Okay, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, they did not give it as another separate
There-
example.
Bezdin
Okay.
has a procedure.
I understand that, Michael. Okay, all right. The michtava mekame de nachu sahade de achatimot yadayu psula. Okay, in this situation, we're saying that it's written, okay, without the right, the lien of being forgiven, all right, and the witnesses are on it, all right, it would be invalid, okay. Alma, okay.
You got the case wrong. We have a
I'm
star.
just telling you,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
They did not present it as a separate case. I'm telling you.
What is this? There is a document. There is a Bezdin procedure.
I understand
look-
that.
But because it's talking about Bezdin procedure, and Rabibi took a shortcut.
I see that. I'm not disagreeing with that part,
But you're not explaining the case. How are they supposed to learn it?
okay? I'm just saying, he said to them, Rabibi said to them, you're going back a couple lines. He said, Amar laho Rabibi bar Abai kidvula, to write her
Write
this
his-
document.
Before,
Right.
which is
Which means they're going to write a document for her. Okay, now, so that afterwards, when she does testify,
Somebody will
it's
sign
going to
it.
be valid.
Correct.
Correct.
That's the
Correct.
point. That's what
And
he
that
said. Okay.
Procedural challenge is offered to that.
Okay, now, Amar Rav Papi. Rav Papi now comes back and says as follows. Mishum da'atitu mimulai, since he abbreviated, he truncated the procedure, all right? Amritu mili milta. I'm saying, he said, talked about, he made a very valid, a good example, okay? All right?
Correct.
That's the point.
He's criticized.
No, he's
I don't,
taking another court procedure to present that Rabibi did it wrong. Because the other
all right, but
court-
I'm telling you, it
Okay.
wasn't presented
but-
that
okay,
way.
but I don't care what Curran says. You have to look at the words.
I
and do
see
it
the words.
correctly.
I see the words, all right? Ha'amar Rava. But here Rava is saying the following. Hai isharta dedaine. He's saying this document, this ratification that was done.
No, this
Okay.
is a new thing.
Okay, and I'm telling you, they did not
Okay.
present
Well,
it as a
all right,
new
but
thing.
look, all right.
Okay?
Yeah,
The
all right,
michtava
all right.
mekame denaichu sahade achatimot yadayim. Okay, that in a situation where it's signed by others, okay, by the signature of witnesses, psula, it's invalid. So that point, he's saying it's a criticism of what was done earlier. Okay, that's the point that he's saying. Alma, all right, mechaze kashikra. Okay, he saw it as something that was a lie, inappropriate.
It didn't look right.
Right, that's the point. Hachanami mechaze kashikra.
So what
Here
you
too,
did was wrong.
okay, it looks like it's a lie. In other words, now Rava is the one who's criticizing the
Rav Bibi.
methodology of Rav Bibi bar Abai.
Right.
That's the point at this point. Villeta, okay, and the Gemara continues, Villeta, that's the case. Me the Rav Nachman, okay, and according to Rav Nachman, the Amar Rav Nachman, as Rav Nachman says, Omer Haya Rabbi Meir, Afilu Matzu Ba'ashpa, V'chatmu, even if they found a document in the garbage, all right? I did not have that it was a get, but
It
they
has to
found a
be a get.
document,
From
okay?
the fight to.
All right, v'chatmu v'natnu la, okay? And they signed and they gave it to her, okay?
Meaning his
So
wife.
now that we understand that it means what kind of a document that they would give her, now that tells me it was a get, kasher, okay? Then it's valid, okay? All right. Va'afilu Rabbanan lo plige alei, and even the rabbis don't disagree with him. The Rabbi Meir, Ela begite nashim, except in the situation specifically of a get for women. The ba'in and kativa lishma, because there we need to have a requirement that it must be written specifically for her. Aval b'shar shtarot, but with regards to other documents, module, then they would acknowledge Rabbi Meir's view.
That a document need not be
Okay.
lishma. That's
All right.
why it's
That's
not
right.
a guard.
The Amar Rab Asi, says Rav Asi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Shtar, okay, Shalva Bo Upra'o. Okay, so now we have an example of another kind of document situation. Okay, we have that a document, okay, that was of a shel lover, that was belonged to regarding loans and debts. All right, and it was paid off. Eino choser v'lo verbo. When you cannot take that same document,
And use it.
okay, and reuse it once more. Shekvar nimchal shiabudo, because the lien has already been forgiven, right? Tama, what's the reasoning? The nimchal shiabudo. Why? Because it has already been forgiven, the amount of money. Aval lemechazeh kashikra, but to say that it would appear as a lie, okay, lo chayshinan, we are not suspect for that. Okay, so now we go on to another case. Hahu gavra, the afkid, okay, right? What happens? A certain man, okay, deposited items. Shav, what did he deposit? Shav marganita Detsaide Basadina. He deposited 7 pearls tied up, wrapped up in either a sheet or a kerchief, right? Be Rabbi Meyasha, in the home of Rabbi Miasha bar Barei de Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. This, in the home of Rabbi Miasha, the grandson of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. What happened? Shchiv Rabbi Miasha velo pakit. Rabbi Miasha passed away, but he did not give any direction, any clear ramifications as to who was the one who brought the pearls, when it was brought, under what the circumstances, things like that. Okay. Atu lekame de Rabbi Meir. Okay, they came before Rabbi Ami, Amarle, and they said to him, Chada, okay, so this is his answer to them. Chada the Yadana be Rabbi Ma'asha bar Barei to Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. He says, I was familiar, personally knew him. Rabbi Ma'asha, the grandson of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Delo Amid, and he was not wealthy. Right? In other words, he normally would not have had that as part of his own property. Okay? Right? So what happens? Va'od, and furthermore, Vaha Kayahiv Simana. And in addition, there were certain marks, symbols, something that would be acknowledgeable in terms of the claimant can come back and say that he has something on which to claim it. He would say there were 7 pearls. He would say some were big, some were small. He said the way I tied the knot. He had some sort of semen. Okay? Velo amran. Okay, and we say okay that okay, that normally that such a sign, okay, would be valid. Ela de lo ragil, okay, what happens? But that the lo ragil, the ayo v'nafik lahatam. What, particularly when it's a situation when the person is not, doesn't come and go on a regular basis to that location. Okay? Aval ragil da'ayil v'nafik lahatam. But if a person comes and goes regularly, and therefore he might have seen what was happening there, ema inish achrina afkid. I might have said that perhaps another person had deposited it, right? Ve'ihu mechaze chaza, And this one happened simply to have seen what the siman was. Okay, another similar scenario. Hahu Gavra, there was another person, the Afkid Kasa. He had deposited a cup, a goblet, okay, de kaspa, a silver cup, okay, Bechasa, okay, in the house of Kasa. Shachiv Chasa, Chasa passed away, velo Pakid, and again, there was no clear distinctions, rules, will, information regarding the deposit. Okay, Atu Lakami de Rav Nachman. This they came and went before Rav Nachman. Amar Laho, and he said to them, Yadana be b'chasa, v'delo amid. I was familiar, I knew Chasa enough that he wasn't rich. Va'od, and in addition, Vaha kayahiv simana. And here too, there was a certain siman, a certain way of knowing by the creditor, the person who had brought it, okay, what the situation was. Velo amran ela delo ragil da'ayil v'nafik lahatem. And we don't say this except in regards a person who doesn't come frequently in and out of there. Aval ragil da'ayil v'nafik lahatem. But in regards to somebody who comes in and out there frequently, Amar, I might say, Inish acharina afkid, that I would say another person could have deposited it, ve'ihu mechaze chaza, and the other individual happened to see it. Okay, another example. Hahu the afkid mit kasa. Okay, this was a situation where a person deposited a silk garment. Be Rav Dimi, Achva de Rav Safra. In the okay, and he did it in the house of Rav Dimi, the brother of Rav Safra. Shachiv Rav Dimi velo pakid. Again, Rav Dimi passed away and gave no clear will distinction as to what about the deposit. Atalakami de Rabbi Abba. They came before Rabbi Abba. Amar lahu, and they said to him, Chada the Yad Anabe Rabbi Dimi the Lo Amid. On the one hand, I know that Rabbi Dimi was not wealthy again, so he would not have had such silk garments. Va'od, and furthermore, Ha kayehiv simana. There was a certain simani that could be given here. Velo amran ela de lo ragil de ayil v'nafik lahatam. And we don't say this rather than a situation where somebody comes and goes regularly. Aval ragil de ayil v'nafik lahatam. But where there is somebody who comes in and out regularly, ema inish acharina afkid. Okay, I might say that another person was the one who deposited it, ve'imu mechaze chaze, and somebody else was the one who saw it. Okay, another example. Hahu de amar laho nichse letuvia. There was a person who.
At the end of that, now it's a totally new scenario.
Yes, another situation. Hahu de amar laho nichse letuvia. There was an individual, okay, who received certain items and said.
He was on his deathbed. He said,
Wait, guys, come on, please. Okay. Hahu de amar laho nichse letuvia. Okay. There was one who said to them that these were properties belonging to Tuvia. Okay, why? Tuvia was the person who had the property. Okay, and it was it was deposited with someone else, and that person was holding it, and that the person who was holding Tuvia's possessions died. Okay, all right. Ata. Okay, who comes? Tuvia. Somebody by the name of Tuvia comes.
Who died?
Okay.
Who died? The Gemara says shochet. Who died?
The person who was holding this property that belonged to Tuvia.
Okay.
And then he died.
Right. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Hare ba Tuvia. Okay, here is Tuvia coming. Okay. Amar Tuvia. Okay. Then he said to Tuvia, Va'ata Rav Tuvia. And then along comes Rav Tuvia.
The new case.
Okay. No. Okay. Lituvia Amar. He said it's for Tuvia. Okay. Li Rav Tuvia Lo Amar. But for Rav Tuvia, he didn't say. Ve'i inish de Gis Bey. Okay, and if it was a person who was familiar with him, in other words, he was
He
right,
was on a first name basis.
right, for it
with
was
Rav
able
Tuvia.
casual with him to know. In other words, maybe it was Rav Tuvia, but he simply called him Tuvia
Right.
because they were on a close basis. He didn't use his title.
Honorific.
Okay, Ha Gispe. Maybe it was because he was familiar with him. Atu Shnei Tuvia. Then along comes two people with the name of Tuvia. Shekain Talm, right? In this case, V'Talmid Chacham. Okay, so what happens? One is a, right? The Talmid Chacham.
One is a shochet.
One is a,
Talmid Chacham.
one,
Shocking is a neighbor.
one is a neighbor, and one is a sage, and they both happen to have the same first name.
Right.
Okay, in that case, Talmid Chacham Kodem. Then we give preference to the Talmid Chacham. Karov Talmid Chacham. If it's an example of a relative and a sage, Talmid Chacham Kodem. We give preference to the sage.
You say you give preference, but it might be against the law.
Huh? No. There is no law.
Okay.
There is only a situation.
The case is if I gave property to Zev Kipperman, and I said, Zev, give this property to somebody who's Kenny. Okay.
Right.
Now, what happens?
Two Kennys show up.
Okay. Kenny Fixler, who lives in Wolverton E, comes. Okay. And let's say another Kenny comes.
Because it's your
Okay.
really your property.
Okay, and another Kenny comes. All right. And all you were told was give this property to Kenny. Okay.
So they have to have
The
priorities.
question is, what priority? So you may decide and say, oh, well, Kenny Green lived in Wolverton E. I know that. Kenny Fixler lives in Wolverton E. And so therefore, that must be the Kenny that he's referring to. Okay? But you're making that decision based on an attempt by making a preference that you're making. In this situation, the Gemara is trying to suggest, how do you make, since you're the person having to make the decision, how do you come to make that preference? And
No,
it says,
there's no evidence one way or the other. There are two claimants. So the Torah is saying we have a standard by which you prioritize.
okay, so that's the, so in the example I gave you, the preference was, the location.
And
Here,
there is a basis.
Here they're giving a different preference. That's
There is,
right.
the point here is, since there's absolutely no evidence one way or the other, whether it's simply a buddy or it's a Talmid Chacham. So by giving it to the Talmid Chacham, you're supporting his learning, and everything he learns from that point on in his life, you get a little bit of credit for. That's the basis for the choice.
Okay, so then we had Shochet. All right, so the Gemara went on. V'tamid Chacham Kodem. Ibayalaho. So they asked, Shochein v'karov mai, with a neighbor and a relative.
Good friend.
Okay, what's the situation? Okay, Tashma. Okay, we have a pasuk. Tov shochein karov me'ach rachok. Better is a close neighbor than a distant brother. Shnehem krovim, ushnehem shchenim, ushnehem chachamim. What if you have those situations? Okay, two relatives or two neighbors or two sages.
Now the priority list
Right.
breaks down.
All right.
And they both
Shuda
have the
de
same-
dayane. Then it has to be the clarification, the decision of the judges.
Because you don't
They have
the
to use their
priorities.
best example. Okay, we'll go just a little bit further. Amar le Rav lebraid the Rav Chia bar Avin. I know we're close, right? Ta emalach milta ma'alyuta tahava amar avuch. Come, he says, and I will share with you a good thing that your father taught Hada Amar Shmuel, regarding something that Shmuel said. Namely, Hamocher Shtar Chov L'Chaveiro, one who sells a document of indebtedness, okay, to another party. V'chazar u'mochlo, and then he comes back and he is mochelet, he forgives it. Machul, it is forgiven. Va'afilu yoresh mochel, and even an heir can be forgiven, right? Modeh Shmuel b'machneset shtar chov leba'ala. Okay, and Shmuel would acknowledge the situation. Okay, when one brings a document of indebtedness to, when the woman really brings a document of indebtedness to the husband.
She lends the money
Okay.
and gives her husband.
In other words, it could be that, well, a little more. Okay, it could be that she lent money from her property. Okay, and we're saying that she bring here. Okay, the husband could be the one who's forgiving it, because we've seen the Gemara tell us yado yada,
Yeah, well,
that situation. V'chazra umechalto,
and then she tries
and
to
she
forgive
comes back and to nullify it. V'she'eino machu, in that situation, it's not work, right? V'pnei sheyado ki yada. Why? Because his hand is like hers, and that's where we're going to stop.
at least as much power as her.
Right.
So without his rishus, she can't
Right.
mind.
And we'll stop right there for today.
When I was asking before about the Talmud Chacham, I was wondering why they didn't bring people for reference for his character.